Okay. Are Can you check if we're on Twitch?
Yeah, it's on.
Woo! What's up? What's up,
Yeah.
internet? We are back. We're back and we're ready to go. Thanks so much for tuning in or checking this. Well, let's say hello to my very good friend Calvin. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, good new man. Thanks for having me on the show, dude. Really appreciate it, bro.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. It's been long overdue, this thing. And oh, I hope I did click on this done thing. Woohoo. Okay. Wow, yeah, I'm so rusty with this streaming. So, how have you been, man? How like we were talking just about like well, while we were setting up, we were talking about load shedding, and well, I would like to know what the fuck's going on there. Like, like, please explain us what is going on in your country that is like it's run by gangsters and shit.
Man, like it's the power companies like government run, but they've known for like 20 years that we don't have enough facilities to power the country, or that they falling apart and not maintaining it. So they're just corrupt, stealing the money from the back pockets. I think they paid out like this year 455 billion to them to bail them out. That's crazy, bro. So now the load shedding is like some days 12 hours a day. Most days is between 6 and 8 hours a day. So it's crazy, bro. It's really messed up.
So basically, like you either it's like you, for example, you have a generator and you can like run your fridge for like those 8 hours a day. But like people that don't have generators, like what they just like what's going on with their like
They just don't have power. Like businesses that can't afford generators or solar or inverters with batteries, like what that stuff's not cheap, and the fuel price is not cheap to run a generator as well. So like I worked it out with my generator. First of all, it's noisy, like in a residential area. So you got this thing like, like it's you can't put on it. Oh, I wouldn't put it on at night. It's a bit swag. But like I worked it out, it's like between 50 Rand, 80 Rand an hour, 100 Rand an hour that you're running. So then when you go load shedding, then you're spending like 300 Rand or whatever for the 2.5 hours load shedding. It's crazy, bro. It's not right.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm still getting a hang of my Twitch skills, but it's going to get better. Okay, so yeah, no, like it must be really really bad. I mean, apart from paying like expensive electricity, now you have to pay like gas money for like, like petrol for like keeping stuff working. And the only like I just wondering like the exchange rate for South African rupees into dollars. I mean rand, of course, but well, it's like it's about like Mexican rupees, right? It's about like $1 for
It's
like eight.
18 Rand to $1 now, I think,
Same.
roundabouts.
Yeah,
Almost.
same as
Yeah,
Mexican
so
rupees.
it's not good. And it's like, and the dollar's not going to be doing well. Like I see a lot of that, and that impacts in our relationship, and then our currency gets weaker, and then yeah. But even talking about the power, like in the last, I think 2 years, it's gone up like 60% increases in the last 2 years. It's mad, man. So yeah, like I don't know how people are affording these increases, because that goes into your food expenses and your accommodation. Everything just goes up and up and up. So no, man, it's crazy. Like it's a definitely. But I know everyone in the world struggling post COVID, But I think with lack of power, I know Australia is getting the same problem now. They're having like not enough power facilities to generate the power, so they're getting some load shedding in certain areas. So I think it's a worldwide issue that's starting to like pick up. We just can't supply enough power for the demand.
But really, like, I mean, in South Africa, I can understand, like things been run by the mob, and like, people are just like stealing left, right, and center. But you get something like Australia, that it's like supposedly one of the one of the most, you know, first world countries out there. You know, there's like, I mean, they have a very few population for the size of the place, and they can't still make it. Like that's, I mean, to me that's insane. That's a bit like, I don't know. We are in an age that, that should not be happening. You know what I mean? Like there is so much ways to get like power in like nuclear, or like, you know, like there's so much efficiency for making, or well, maybe not
Or even
efficiency.
now, if you think about like the green, the going green or whatever, and it's like the solar and the wind farm, and there's the tidal and all that, and like how many options do we have to generate power? But we just maybe not enough investors into those areas, or it's slowly getting there. But yeah, man, it's a struggle, bro. It's not like not having power, and then not having the facilities. If you don't have the money to buy the facilities to generate power, while you don't have power supplied by government, it's fucked up, bro. Yeah, but you just live with it. In the end, it's like it's part of life. So you just live with it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you get used to it, but you know, it's like, man, I'm in Mexico, yeah. Like Mexico is a third world country, same as you as South Africa, right? But maybe a little bit less corrupt, which is a lot to say because it's Mexico, you know. But it's I mean, it's overwhelming. Like to like it's been happening for, I don't know, decades over there, and it's crazy, man. It's just crazy the level of incompetence and negligence that government can get to in your place. But pff, Jesus.
Man, the corruption level in Africa generally is like super high. Worldwide it is, but here it's also very open. Like it's just money been stolen for decades, like you say. You know, it's just, and it's easy. It's just like put in the back pockets. Like in Kenya, man, like I have friends. I used to actually work in Kenya 3-4 times a year, and it's upfront bribery. It's like literally the guys will say like, "You bribe me, give me money, and then I'll do that for you." Like straight up. It's not even like hidden. It's straight in your face. So like South Africa's a little bit behind on that, but the corruption level's high. You know, you want something done right, you pay for it, or somebody else will take a cut of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I mean here it's quite blatant as well. It's like it's out there, and it's obviously they don't put it on the pamphlet, but when you go to the functionary, when you go to the person there, he like they're gonna be like, yeah, you know, we can sort it out another way. Like they won't say like, yeah, just give me your money, but you'll come up with it, you know, in the next sentence for sure. It's like it's happening. So yeah, it's so it happens. But yeah, like I mean, corruption is out there everywhere. No, like it's quite a bad problem. I mean, where there is money, there's corruption. No, so it's going to be. It's going,
Exactly. Power, greed leads to corruption because there's always people who are gonna want what other people have, you know. And when there's power in place, then that's easier to be corrupt. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, it's well, it's quite a depressing thing, but like I'm glad that you have a generator so we can get on with this, man. So,
I don't have the well. The generator makes so much noise, but I've got truck batteries.
well, that's good enough too, like for sure. So,
Yeah.
so you were telling me like you had some releases that were coming, no? Like talk to us about your label and what has it been like to you know run a label in South Africa, being so away from like the civilized world in you know like from Europe, and like because from Mexico it's kind of the same. No, it's quite hard to make it in the mainstream, say mainstream, because in the side trans stream main blah blah in that department, you know, it's quite hard to get there because you know flights are not cheap, and you know
Yeah.
it doesn't get easier with time, and especially with the pandemic. So tell us more about your experience running a label from over there.
Yeah, man. Well, it's been always like a passion project of mine, to be honest. So, like in the beginning, it wasn't really a label. We were a production house, so we were doing festivals pretty much for 11 years. a little bit longer than that.
Well, that's how I met. That's how I
And
met you, no, on Jungala Festival.
yeah, exactly, man. And we did a few other different festivals as well. And then I opened a business, even doing production management for festivals. So every weekend through summer, we were doing festivals for clients, and that's, it's quite an intense industry if you're doing it that often. But I decided to move the pattern. We always had artists signed to the production house, as we're like a label, but it was just a family that was South African artists mainly. And then I joined another friend of mine, and we created another label called Zoology Records. And I did a lot of that stuff first to understand the running of a label, the distribution, the rights, and how to get the music out there, how to network with artists. And I built 55 releases for that label, and then I started Synoptics as a record label distributor. And
when did you start it? Sorry.
Synoptics as a label. So that was now, it's 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. And and because of my doing the festivals and then running Zoology Records and networking all the artists that I did, Synoptics kind of was a little bit more of a breeze because I was accustomed to it already, which was cool. But it's still it's a lot of work with regards to networking and building relationships, and in the beginning was finding what we were passionate about, and we didn't necessarily find a style that we were releasing. We were just finding what we were passionate about and what sounds, and we were quite a broad spectrum. We were releasing from edgier progressive to full on day to old school Twilight, the shift style and twisted system and system sequence and that kind of stuff. And that sound then died about 4 or 5 years ago. So it literally just fell off the edge of the world, in South Africa especially. And the new Twilight came with the more psychedelic realm, well, a different type of psychedelic. And my passion has always been harder, more serious psychedelic that I've always DJ'd. So the label slowly progressed into where I wanted to be, as it fuels my passion, because I started to put a lot of music out as a label, but it wasn't what I was playing, and I wasn't able to push and be passionate about what I was putting out. And that I think is very important as a label owner, especially if you're a DJ owner as well, that you want to play the label's music and promote it and push it. So yeah, the label's direction now has gone exactly where I want it to be. It's we're putting out the music that I want to play. So all our releases I play, even a few sets in the last year, it's been exclusive label sets, which has been actually kind of like a dream come true, because it's taken a long time to get to that point where I can actually put a full cohesive set of only label music, and that I feel passionate about, and that's really cool. I'm super stoked about that. So we've signed multiple artists in South Africa, up and coming artists, guys. For me, it's always been with the label, finding guys that are making music that either haven't been able to get a connection or a link or somewhere to push their music out, but they are making incredible music, but they aren't able to take that next leap or find it. And I've always been I don't know, maybe it was just from when I started DJing and I felt the struggle of trying to get DJ sets and literally going up to promoters, can I please get a set? Can I please get a set? Demo, forever, man. And I don't know, when I started DJing as well in the UK, I was reading interviews with Paul Glasby and Lisa Lashes, all the hard house guys, and how they would market themselves as an artist to promoters to get gigs. And it was proper full-on demos, printed CDs and business cards and bios written, and full-on a totally different professional approach, So maybe I sympathize with how where I came from to now it's like social media, just drop a guy a message kind of thing. Hey, here's my track. So it was such a different approach, you know. So maybe finding these guys and releasing music that no one else is hearing or seeing, and build this platform that I can showcase their music to many followers, it feels really good to be able to do that, you know.
Yeah, man, for sure. No, that's I'm the way that the music scene has like evolved. Like when I started, definitely I had my demos. My manager was sending my demos to labels with like stickers on, and that's how I got signed. And eventually, yeah, I mean, social media and especially like streaming platforms have kind of demolished all that, and obviously like the fact that nobody has a CD player anymore. But uh,
Yeah.
it's all USBs now and everything. But
That's another thing that I'm like really struggling with though, is when you're doing like album releases now, and what value to put into it for someone. Because for me, it's like when you print the CD, it's tangible, it's something that it's a memory, it's the artwork, because artwork is as important as the music, because that also portrays like the artist's ideas and influences of direction of their music and what they want to put out, you know. And but yet that gets totally disregarded nowadays. It's like seen and disappears, because digital music, it's when you buy tracks on Beatport, you don't get the artwork or anything. It's just a track, and then it's a wave which doesn't embed the metadata in. Like most people download waves, and it doesn't even have the artist name. It just says the track name with a number on it. I had mates like portfolios they gave me of tracks, and I was just like, "Who's this?" Like, it's just a number and the name of a track. I'm like, "What the fuck?" You know?
yeah, I know. To me, it doesn't make sense, and that's why also like I don't quite like the new distribution methods, and you know, it's just strange. Why would they do that? You know, it's like, well, the track is already named. It has metadata. It's just so easy to just fish the metadata from the actual file and just put it on there. Like just in it, like you can program something to do that. You know, while you're uploading it, instead of like just numbers and there's like a barcode. I hate it, but yeah, no, it's been quite a journey, man. Like I did not know that the label was before only promotion and doing events. You know, I actually thought that you had the label all along, but I met you when you kind of launched it, right? Like more or less.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Jangala compilations were super early on in the label. Like, I think the first Jangala release was within the first 15 or 20 releases. 15 releases, I think, was within that, you know, so it was right at the beginning of the label. So, yeah, it was, I think it almost tied together, bro. Like, it almost, I think Jangala and Synoptics launching as a label kind of almost worked hand in hand, you know, because especially with networking with artists like yourself and that. And then my biggest thing when I did the Jangala compilation, that was epic, because I always saw these international festivals doing like a full-on CD release of the internationals that they had, of, or not even just the internationals, the locals as well, onto the compilation. So when you go to the festivals, like, you could buy like a T-shirt and then a CD and then actually like have a cool memory of that festival. You know, I thought that was super cool. And we used the actual artwork from the festival flyer, which was all insane custom artwork from Christopher Dowding. He's built our brands from the beginning, like literally every single brand that I've built. All my festivals, Synoptics, Zoology, Zone Festival, Jangala. We did Magic, a land called Hysterica, which was our first festival. He did all these artworks, including when he did Synoptics at the Bang Bang Club, which is kind of where we started in Cape Town, where we started like a monthly club event, and then it became bi-monthly, and then it became weekly, and we were doing weekly for like 3 years before we did the festivals. And the artworks that he generated, because I'm super of that idea of not like redoing the same thing over and over. So like I wouldn't create one artwork and use it every single month, like a new theme, new idea, new decor to go with that theme as well. So like he was like basically in charge of making like insane artworks every single month for these club events, which is super cool. We did mad die cut stuff and like really unique, not like your A5 portraits, which is cool. So I felt that Synoptic started off with this different edge to what everyone else was doing, which is and that's what we've been trying to do as a label as well. Then like following that through, doing something different. We're not exactly one thing or the other. We're in between. Like I like the darker stuff. I like the like full on night stuff. I like the twilight. So we're not just like sticking to one exact thing, but we're releasing really professional music within a certain scope, and doing different things with designs and ideas with the marketing, and trying to approach it in a different way, which is cool. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, yeah, and you can tell, that you've been trying to do something different. And well, let's get back to this, especially to the music side of this conversation in a bit. Let's just start with the first track that we have. I have it kind of there. Cool, yeah. So, Alien Pilot is this bloke from Canada. He's been blasting for a few years now, and he's been on it. And he's been coming to this podcast for a while, and he sent this track is a remix from Nailik. So there's another Canadian bloke. Nailik has been a guest in this show, and he made a hardware DIY hardware thingy brand, and it's super cool. You should check it out. I think he released his first EQ. I think it's an EQ in 500 format, so you can like put them on those like lunch boxes, which is really cool. And I mean, he's a nerd, like proper nerd, to design this kind of shit and like to actually put it into fruition. Like I just did my drum presser, and I did like 8 of them, and I just could not streamline the thing. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. But he did it. He is really good. And yeah, let's hear this track. Yeah, it's Nailik Peekaboo Alien Pilot remix. So it's work in progress. I'm gonna mute you from the stream, but you can still talk to me if you have anything to say. But yeah, I'll just mute you over there. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me if this is actually like I want to see you on the chat, guys, and see if this is actually if the sound's happening. Yeah. Let's do this.
I'm just waiting for it.
Well, just pick a galaxy, any galaxy. galaxy on top of it. Well, just pick a galaxy, any galaxy. Well, just pick a galaxy, any galaxy. And the way we can figure out what you see from that galaxy is to superimpose this image on top of this one, placing this galaxy on top of it, sir.
Okay, and we are back. And okay, I unmuted you. So yeah, cool. Let's start with you, man, because you're the guest. Tell us what you think.
Sweet, man. Yeah, the production's good. The mixing's good. Like, I like his sound spectrums and his ideas that he's put through the track. Very cool. Lately, well, it's just in my opinion, when I feel there's a lot of the repetitive gating, and I find that when that is consistent throughout the track, that it loses its impact.
Yeah.
So maybe to play with that gating in different elements of the track, because it's a similar synth that he uses. Like, I think it's about 3/4 of the way through the changes, a break and it changes, but most of the track uses a similar sound synth, and he's got that gating in the background. And I think that if he changes that up a bit and maybe gives it a little bit more of randomization there, that could create some more of a driving element, or like a more of a groove to it, change that gate to a different groove and a different aspect part of the track.
Yeah. Totally.
I like how he's on the track. He's got a good storyline and he's got a good idea. Where especially when that break the element that comes in about 3/4 in, it's a total different synth work, and it actually almost feels like it's like a new track but part of the same track, and it actually works really well. I felt maybe the first half of the track was a bit too much of the same elements. He could maybe change that up a bit there. But otherwise, the production level is good. Like, his mixing's good. The sound quality is great. It's would definitely would work nicely on a dance floor. There's not like there's anything that stands out on the mix or anything. It's a well produced track.
Yeah, totally. Well, I've got a couple more technical stuff because I know he's working on the mix, so I wanted to just point out some stuff. Like, basically, what I was pointing out with the analyzer, especially when I was doing the when I was on the actual spectrum, I was pointing out like kind of a line between where the top of the kick's hitting and where the rest of the elements are hitting, which to me it should be tilted a little bit more to the bottom end, but that's another problem. Like that's one thing, but like the mix is quite balanced on that top level, on the mid range, and the tops are quite balanced on their own. But the kick needs more volume. The kick needs a little bit more volume, and that's the second part when I was showing you the level meters. Okay, so when I was pointing at the level meters, you could see that the RMS meters, which are the two on the sides of the level meters, were not moving too much. They were like doing like this, but it's like between the kick and bass, that's like there's no difference. And usually for the track to be mastered correctly, or at least for the limiter not to be pumping all the time, you want the kick to be having a little bit more emphasis. So like you have that doof, 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 at least like 2 or 3 dBs over the baseline, in RMS. So then that kick is going to drive the limiter and drive the whole level of the track a little bit louder without feeling like everything is getting sucked behind the baseline, which is what would happen if I started trying to master this track and trying to push the dynamics where they're not dynamics, So the dynamics, especially the macro dynamics with kick and bass, have to be very clear. Your micro dynamics, however, are quite okay, like in terms of how your sounds are leveled within the track and how they work together, which is like, I think what Calvin was saying is like the production sounds tight. It's quite tight, but maybe too tight. Like you want that little bit of like that like really pushes your chest, and that's like that's to do with like just kick levels. Then the crash that just starts, it's very loud. Yeah, like it's quite loud. I would have the crash a little bit quieter, especially a little bit quieter than your offbeat hi-hat, especially because you don't want that like to like just smash your face when it all comes to like, because it's like the crash and the percussions on top of it. So you want the crash to be a little bit behind the percussion, so you get a but it's not like a like what the fuck, And so that's another thing. And so just check those levels, especially on the crashes and on the like the effects, like the risers, etc. You want the risers even lower. Like I would say if your kick and bass is like -10, your risers and your effects should be like -20 or -18 or something like that, quite behind. And apart from that crash, which, well, it's actually like the high frequencies imbalance that I was telling you to tilt. But actually, if you push the level of the kick drum, it might sort out more or less that tilting that I'm telling you. But there is another bit that is more like creative thing, is like, I think, and this goes in line with what Calvin was saying, when you have like you're having all these like gated synths, and to me it does sound okay in terms of like how it builds up, but it's also a bit repetitive, and and it feels cluttered, especially behind, like right before the first breakdown. It feels a bit cluttered, like you should maybe separate some of these things, either spectrum wise or time wise. So like Tetris the things, like so you will have something that is like doing the lower end of the lead line, and then something that is like just poking on the tops, and that will kind of give it some separation if you want to layer them, instead of having both sounds or 3 sounds full range. So that is another thing. And yeah, very, very good observation about Existo music. The snare is quite behind, and that might be just a level issue, but also it could be that your synths are kind of battling for space on that range. So your snare kind of wants to hit from 1K to like 4K in general, that's the beef of the snare, right? And your synths are also in that range, so the snare kind of has to cut through. It doesn't need to be super loud, but it kind of has to cut through the mix, so you get like that. And the rhythmics, like the actual the rhythmic on the track, instead of being all like super gated, kind of like 16ths, at some point it could be a bit more, like just driving kind of like not offbeat, but like, you know what I mean, like the percussions and all the rhythmics kind of could be a little bit more staccato kind of thing, you know what I mean? And that would give the track a little bit more contrast. That, I think that's what it needs, a little bit more contrast. So, well, that's me. Anything else you want to add, Calvin, man?
No, man. Yeah, I think that I agree totally with what you're saying there as well. And yeah, but overall, he's got a good idea and direction of the track. Working on those elements. I think you'll make a killer track with it. It's good feedback for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it's quite close. Like in terms of construction, but those little details. When you start thinking about the track in terms of contrast and like this, like push and pull kind of like tension and release, this kind of stuff. that's when sometimes like the magic happens, you know, because you can build it up very nicely, but then at some point it's like, wow, it's like it lost like the meaning, you know, or something. And at some point you want to like bring back that level of journey into the arrangement. Know that it's like something that it's very very important, I think, in psytrance, especially because you know other genres is not quite the journey kind of thing, you know, but psytrance is like pretty much, if there is no direction, it's gonna be it's gonna dilute a little bit the energy after a while, you know, and you can go on for a little bit, like maybe one or two tracks like this, but obviously it's better if every track has its own like dynamic, you know, and like real intentional contrast, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You were saying that to me the other day. That's definitely important.
Yeah,
for
man.
sure.
No, totally. And yeah, talking about music and well, new music now. Tell us more about your new signings and tell me what you're expecting for this year in terms of your your new projects that you've signed on your label and your new releases that are coming. I've heard that it's like you have a list like this of releases and like yeah. So tell me about
Man,
that.
like I sent someone the other day an email, and like we've decided to do less releases this year than last year, because last year I've kind of almost killed myself. Like it was releases every 2 weeks, and like I do all the label work, the sorting, the distribution, the marketing, the copy, everything. And when you're doing that many releases, and I'm super OCD in the way that I do the releases with regards to the coming soon videos, and like our guy makes out now ones, and then I splice and edit it and put track names and make it like each track has its own video, and then it has to work in the way with the Instagram layout. And fuck OCD, but like all of that's just really it drained me and it took a little bit out of me. So this year we decided to really focus on the label artists mainly, and we've got 3 debut albums this year, which is mad. We've got Solas, he's going to be doing his debut album, and he's a new signing that we signed now. It's a year and a half to 2 years, year and a half ago or so, and we've done 2 EPs for him. And his music is next level. He sent us a track I sent to you earlier to listen to as well, and I'm super amped with him being part of the label. His production is next level. Like for the time that he's producing, I don't know, I'm just blown away, like how good his music is, you know, and not just the music, but the actual production and the mixing and the layout and the storyline and ideas. It's really good. And then Warp Drive in Australia, he's making some crazy music, man, and he's going more and more serious, more and more darker, which is super cool. So he's working in some tracks from 147, 148 to 155, 160. He's writing a faster one now with mental projection.
Holy cow.
Some cool stuff, you know, and he loves working on atmospheres and deep, meaningful sounds, you know, like really like catches you when you listen to it. Emotional sounds, emotional music, you know. It's really like when you're on the dance and it's this driving bass line and kick and these sounds that are like super eerie and moving around you, and it's like that stuff's that really captures me for sure. So he's working on his debut album as well. And then Inverse in Mexico is working on his debut album. So that's like 3 albums this year. And I know that Twigger said he's in Italy. He's also working on another album, his second album, but I'm not sure if that's this year. It's probably going to be out next year. And then there's like EPs in between that of our guys. And we're trying to focus on, we've got now 12 producers on the label, and I'm trying to get them to all work with each other and collaborate with each other, and not like just release amazing music from other producers from around the world, but rather focus in on the family and get everyone to work with each other. And you never know what develops from that. A new project, a new sound, new ideas. So like we're trying to really like get that collaboration going within the family, and it's really cool. So down the line, it's probably going to be next year, but we will do a family compilation where it's no other artists on the compilation, only the label artists. And I think that's going to be super cool, you know, like remixing with tracks, collabing and solo tracks, making out something that's purely Synoptics artists. So yeah, I'm super stoked about that, man.
Well, that's a great idea. We're trying to do the same we're trying to do the same with 01. Well, not like all 01, but because like it's good to have like one or two like good like names from other places to like bring in more people, no? But definitely that's a good thing. Like, and we're really trying also to bring it up like that. But you were saying, sorry that I interrupted you.
No, because I like when you have a family that's working together, if you're a label and every artist is their own artist and they're not working with it, then it's no joint vision, and then label's not going to grow because no one is like feeling the same ideas and vision and seeing where we're all going together. Because I'm not a label doing this for me. I'm doing it as a collective, you know. I want everyone to benefit from this. It's like I'm not benefiting from it. I'm benefiting passionately from it because I love music, you know.
Yeah.
If I was in it for the money, I'd be doing house music or like EDM shit, you know, like I love this shit because this music makes me feel good. And the people within the industry, I've only experienced like really great people and energy and positivity and respect, and it's a really good industry to be in. But yeah, and then the other compilations we're doing, which is like when I said to you, I mailed a friend of mine the list of what we're doing, and I was like, when I actually put it down on paper, I was like, actually, the year is going to be quite busy. But we're doing 2 collaboration compilations, one with Sama Records and one with Patronus Records.
Cool.
And it's our artists collaborating with their artists. So that's going to be really epic, man, because Patronus is like releasing more foresty stuff. And Sama is like a mixture of like from twilight to foresty, like in between, you know. And our artists are on a spectrum from night full on, twilight, and a little bit of a darker edge. But it's really the tracks that are coming out of these collaborations are really cool because both artists from both labels are getting a feeling of out of the normal realm of what they've been making, you know, for themselves or when they're making tracks for their label. So it's actually the stuff that's coming out of it is really cool. Like I'm super amped for these two collaboration compilations, you know.
Yeah, no, totally. Wait, there is a couple of questions from people. It's like Salmon from Lyon. It's a French guy from Lyon. That's a question. And then the other one is, did you say Sangoma Records? I didn't catch that.
No, Sama Records. So
Sama.
Jafar, he worked with Sangoma, and he was one of the guys that was working with Till and Emil with Sangoma, but then he split and started Sama Records.
Okay.
And they've been releasing really amazing music and also doing incredible artworks. He works with really good digital graphic artists and that, so super psychedelic stuff. So yeah, and how I met him, he actually came to South Africa many years ago, like when I think his compilation was called Arecibo Chronicles or something, and it was super cool Twilight stuff, you know, like it was like Shift and Twisted System and Minogue and all that kind of style back then. And came here and we connected, and like we hadn't spoken for years, and then we just started connecting again, and he's an amazing guy, and I like his passion for the industry, and especially where he came from, man. He grew up with a family that listening to music is not part of, it's like seen as the devil's thing, you know, and he's completely on the other side of the spectrum to where he grew up, and to see how passionate he is about the industry and what he does for it, and I'd hold him close to my heart. He's a really good friend, and yeah, it's really cool to be doing these collab compilations, and also building that family relation within the industry, not like Synoptics just doing Synoptics. We want to build relationships and keep our friendships and networks and have these people close. It's like it's a family, an extended family, if not say it like that.
Well, we all want to think about our labels as families and our like crew and production as families, and eventually all families have their black sheeps, and there is cunts, and even in the best families you get a cunt. So but yeah, always good to just like trying to push the boundaries and like bring the people more, because that's where the magic happens really. Yeah, they're asking, how do you write Sama? Is with double A, right?
Yeah, Alien said it right. Sama,
Yeah, okay.
Samaa.
So let's go for one of those tracks that you sent us, because we're almost going to the first hour. It's Solas. The track name's Codex, and that's from his debut album, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be on his debut album. I think so. I think that's on the track list that he sent me. But he just said this would be a good track for everyone to take a listen to.
Cool, totally. No, yeah, it's yeah. Well, if you're watching, which he probably isn't, because he should be talking with us. But thanks for that track.
He said he is watching. He's logged in. I think so. But he's not logged into. Because you can't chat unless you logged in. No, you can, eh? Okay, cool. You're talented chat.
You need a free account. Yeah, come on. You're his label manager. Come manage him.
Come on, Henry, log in, brother. Make some comments, yeah.
Come on, bro. Make some noise. We're bigging you up right here. Come on. Okay, so let me just fish this track. My computer is oddly pretty okay with temperature, so this is like first hour has been all right, and let's just get on with it. Solus Codex, it's coming.
Sweet. Enjoy.
Okay, so we are back, and yeah, so well, that track's really good. It's already mastered, so it's hard to say. Like there are some bits. How do you say? There are some bits that I would, as a mastering engineer, tidy up. But it's okay. I think the mid range should be a little bit more dipped, and the high end should be a little bit more pushed. You know what I mean? Like there is a bit of like a mid range proficiency, or like it's too much focus on the mid range, and it could be a little bit warmer, if you know what I mean. Like the especially the especially the high frequency. Like it should be more a little bit more of a happy phase instead of like a mid range. You know what I mean? What do you think, Calvin? Obviously, it's your track that's coming out in your label, so you might be a little bit biased.
No, man, I think it's a killer track, but yeah, I do
Really
agree
good
with
track.
you on that side of. He is super precise on his production, maybe sometimes too clean, so maybe that's where that mid-range is getting, it's like focusing on the clarity side of the mid-range, and it's like you said, it's maybe just pushing a little bit too much on that, so I do feel that too.
I think it's also the mastering, because I know Nectarios likes that mid-range really pokey, because I mean he's a synth guy, so he likes that the synths in your face. But yeah, it could be a mastering balancing thing. But in any ways, like it's a good track. Like I really like it. It's very well produced.
Yeah, man, and I know with this track as well, I think it's this one that I said to him like try and. He got into a flow of writing tracks that sounded very similar, like he like in a loop of like a perfectionism of perfecting a sound. And I said to him, cool, now throw in something completely different, like make something that's like not what you normally make, out your comfort zone. And I think this is the one that he was working on, and more squelchier sounds. If you listen to his EPs that he released, he didn't use this squelchier sounds. It was more like driving energetic synths, really uplifting, pushing, going, and these were more like squelchy textures, and yeah, it's a really cool. It's really different to his previous two EPs, which is good. It's like getting out of a comfort zone, trying to make something that's different, playing with different sounds and textures to get different effects. So yeah, it works.
Well, it's like we were saying, a bit of contrast, and that also goes. Not just within the track, but within all your work all your work and all your body of work, I would say. So it's like I've got a bit of contrast in my work. I have some tracks that are like 150 fucking, and I have some that are like even 120, like 130, 140. That it's just like completely different style, and that gives you a lot of more perspective to eventually. Build like a totally own style, and like to really own what you're doing. And yeah, that's totally good. I think the track is really nice.
And I think, and when you're doing that as well, like you are able to, like as a DJ, like I like to play my sets where I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just addicted to playing super driving hardcore music from beginning to end. That's how I feel like on a dance floor. But I mean, how I feel in my head, how I want to make a dance floor feel. But when you're a producer and you can give the storyline, it's not like the same vibe from beginning to end, and then you walk off and it's like, it just felt like my mom used to say to me, she's like, sounds like the needle stuck, like it hasn't progressed in either way. And I think when you're making music like that, 120, 130, 150, 145, and then you do that in sets and you break it up and you create these transitions for people, I think then that's when dance floors really light up, like you see that expression that comes, it's a break in the energy, and yeah, it's a good perspective to have, as a producer for sure.
Yeah, no. So I was talking about the dynamics of the track for Alien Pilot to see, because like here you could see completely, really, really well how that dynamic was working. With the kick was pushing too much, a little bit, like totally fine, like that it was pushing more than the bass, and that's good.
Yeah.
And you could see like the mix line, how like, well, this is how I mean. it's not a secret. If you see it, an analyzer, you'll notice. But like, you'll have like the kick drum a little bit over. Like, let me just because you can't see my cursor. But if you saw this track, like, you would have the kick drum around here, and then the bass line would be lined up around here, the first, like, the fundamental, and then around here the first harmonic, and then like, and so on, it would be going down like this, the bass, and the kick is kind of here, goes down, and then kind of keeps going around here, flat, more or less flat. You'll have some different kicks, so, but it's more or less, that's the range where you're between the bass and the kick drum. That's more or less the range where your sounds are going to be peaking. And over the kick is too loud. Under the kick is going to be background, like, it's going to be background, and the foreground is right at the edge of the kick, so that's more or less how you want to lay out your track. And then, the percussions, like, they'll poke a little bit over the mix line, or right about at the mix line, depends on what style you want. And around 10K or so, they're going to start going down, so this is not bulletproof, but it's kind of a rule of thumb for how to lay out your spectrum. So yeah, just keep it in mind, guys, and I hope that helps. Now let's go to the next track. Next track would be, let's see, I have a few loaded up here. Okay, this one, we can take this one out. Sorry, I need an assistant for this. I need like yeah, someone to help me with this stuff. Okay, so this one is Gar. Okay, so first one, Existo, because that was the first one, the second one that they sent me yesterday. Is Liquid 5. He's on the chat as Existo. Where is he? Existo Music. And yeah, this is, let's hear, man. Let's hear it. I'm really looking forward to hear the
yeah, keen to hear.
Yeah, man, because he's been sending his stuff for a while, and he, like, from the beginning, like, he doesn't have too much experience, he's been doing it for, I don't know, a couple of years maybe, but he started sending the tracks like 6 months in, and they were sounding killer already. So I was like, whoa, okay, let's try this. So yeah, looking forward. Let's Existo Augmenter.
Good.
Cool. So we are back again, and yeah, man, nice track. It's been like really, I can tell the progress because like usually you would be like super heavy kick and bass, and like the stuff would be quite diluted in the mid range. But yeah, let's go to your review, man. First, what do you think, Calvin?
Man, it's a really cool track, bro. Like you're saying, you're commenting on the storyline there. It's a really killer storyline. I love the break element, the broken beats. I'm a big fan of breaks, so I really love it when side producers bring it in, because it's, well, especially in South Africa, it's not really like, guys don't really get broken beats, but that break section works. I'd even bring it in a little bit louder. It's a little bit subtle, like it's got like the kicks punchy, and then when the breaks come in, it feels like the break element, the broken beats, a little bit softer. It can be a little bit harder attacking. I feel like maybe a little bit louder, that it stands out, and then he fades it back into the section again. But that's a really cool element. And then later I found when he brought it, maybe it was a variation of the bass line, but it was like a new synth variation and a new bass line variation, and it really worked. It's like they breathed well together. They gave the space. It was it was a really cool track. That's nice. I saw you hanging out with Yanni there. That was cool. Definitely a little bit of inspiration, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool track. Good vibes. Good storyline. Not overkilling any elements of it. Yeah, good story from beginning to end.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very musical in terms of the leads are like telling you something. You could really understand what everything is saying. Well, a few things that I'd say is like the kick drum, especially the kick drum. Say like center frequency 1.5 to 2 kilohertz or something. I would dip it down a little bit so it like emphasizes a little bit the low end. Not too much, like a couple of dBs, but maybe also in the bass line it could help a little bit because it's quite in your face, and that's not really letting the mid range pop, because it's kind of battling for space with that of the kick. So that's one thing that I would do, especially just a little dip down there would really sort some like get some clarity on the low end with like, or at least get the mid range up without fighting too much with the kick. Then the percussions are okay, I think, in terms of levels and everything. And yeah, like the construction is really good. I pointed out the storyline is the storyline is really nice. The on the breakdown, you get like the actual building up, and then it just goes, and then you stop for like 2 or 3 or I don't know how many bars, and then it goes transformation. So that transformation I think should go a little bit behind, but this is just creative thing. Like obviously, like if you think that it's perfect there, just don't move it. But I think it just goes transformation, like something close to that break, when it just breaks the break kind of thing, because it's like an extension of the breakdown or of the build up, that is just like that place where you just like say, oh, it's coming, and like people raise their hands, and like girls are like throwing their bikini tops to the DJ. So you want that transformation to be like right there, just, okay, shit, this shit's coming. But anyway, I think that sample could be a little bit louder. And talking about loudness of the mid range, I think the synths in general, like especially I noticed it on the synth on the break on 330 more or less. That synth that just starts. It's one thing. It's quite dry, so you could add some really really short reverb that you cannot really notice the reverb as a room, but like it will pop. It will make the sound pop. I've been using a Melda free bundle. There is a easy convolution reverb. It's called Easy Convolution, and it's so simple. It has no controls. It just has rooms that you can pick, and like high, and like I don't even touch the controls. I just put on the send. I put it on 0, and I check with each room with the synth that I want, and until I found a room that like kind of goes with the transient and with what I want to get from. But sometimes it's not even what I want to get. Sometimes the room is different, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. But just picking rooms rather than just tweaking reverbs is like, for me, it's been a game changer to pick reverb. So maybe try that. Um, Maybe it's not that sound only that needs reverb, but like really short reverb to just emphasize that, like to bring it onto the foreground without, like, because sometimes it's already a good level, but it just needs a little bit of room wetness kind of to bring it into the mix. And talking about synths levels now, definitely most synths could be a little bit louder. Like it could be like a bit of saturation or some compression on the group, or like, or individual ones, just maybe one bring it up, one put some reverb, one like just saturate it, and then the rest compress the whole synth group, or like your mid-range group, or however you're doing your groups. But yeah, I think that would be easy. No, yeah, like I'll write it down. It's called Easy, but just download Melda free bundle. And when you install it, it will ask you like which plugins you want, and don't be greedy. You just want the free ones, so just click on the free, and because if not, you'll have to, like you'll have a bunch of plugins that won't work unless you pay for it. And actually, it's a good bundle if you want to pay for it, but the free one is totally fine, and it's just about the reverb right now. But there are some good plugins on that bundle as well. And yeah, that's it for me. The rest is really good. You can really notice that Israeli kind of vibe that Yoni is bringing into your life. Maybe you've been eating a lot of hummus with him. That's good. That's a good thing. So yeah, say hello to him for me. Yeah. And what else? Okay, so anything else you want to add?
No, man, I think you hit the nail on the head with all your crazy feedback. But man, I think that's a really good track. He's got something good there, man. I really like his ideas, and I like it that it didn't feel once in the track that I was bored by an element.
Yeah.
So it's really like what's killing me lately with a lot of music coming out, like within the first few minutes, there's so many elements that bore me because it's repetition and reusing elements over and over, and there's no storyline construction. It's just repeat. Almost like the copy paste element. And this was written in a way where it's constantly progressing. It's not like he's just copy pasting the midis and slapping it through the whole track. It sounds like it's actually he's taking good thought process and constructing it.
Yeah, totally. No, it's really good. That's why I say, like, the first thing that I said is very nice musically. It's a super good piece of music. I like it. And yeah, just try to check that, especially that mid-range. Dip down the kick, and then the rest is just going to pop, and then just maybe check some levels so the things are actually poking over the mix. I'm aiming for exactly that. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it does represent. It's really nice. And wait, so we have a couple more tracks that they've sent. Existo, this one is done. The Nailik is done also. Okay, so let's go with Gar. Gar, dude. He's one of my patrons. He's been supporting me since forever. So let's give him a good review now. This is F sharp 150 BPM. That's a weird name for a track, Gar. Nah, I'm joking. Okay, so let's do this. Cool. So we're back. Let me just wait because this is going to start with another track soon. Okay, cool. Cool, man. Okay, you're unmuted now. Tell me what you think first before I destroy this track. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to destroy anything. Pretty cool track.
No, man, that's man, very cool track. Like really cool sounds, super eerie and swampy, like you were saying. The one thing I just find definitely needs a mix. Everything seems to be like some of the stuff like really is accentuated louder than the kick and the bass. The percussion, it's really cool percussion. I find that sometimes it's a little bit too soft and sometimes a little bit too piercing. Like it's weird. It's like I can't tell if it's sometimes not loud enough or it is, and other times it is too loud, but it's just missing a little bit of frequencies to warm it up. It's like very like missing a little bit of warmth on the hi-hats and that.
Yeah.
But man, the overall style of the track is fucking killer. Just drop me a message. I'd love to chat to you and hear some more from him because
Nice.
it's very cool sound, you know. But some elements of the track when he's building it up where I'm just getting excited on components coming up and he's got some really cool ideas where it's going to get really intense and then he fades it off. It's like I don't know, like I know that with this kind of sound sometimes the guys are like messing with your head, you know, building up and taking it away and then it becomes a little bit of an empty space. But I definitely feel like some of those parts where he's building the elements of the synths where it starts, the energy's going up and up, is to keep on going with that for a little bit longer and take it somewhere and then like clear it out a little bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the overall track ideas and the direction of it is really cool. I think a little bit more work on the creative side and adding more elements to make those parts build up a little bit longer and I think that would really give it a little bit more energy. It's like it just comes for me. It's like it's just teasing me. It's getting to the point where it's just teasing, you know. And maybe it's because I like this is foresty. I like the stuff that ends up being a little more harder, if you know what I mean. So maybe in my head I'm thinking it's going to go somewhere, but he wants the idea to be like that, you know.
Yeah.
But I do like overall sound design. And what he's done with the track is, it's killer. He's got it's super clear. Like the clarity on each sound stands out in its own place. So he's done a good job with that for sure.
Yeah, no, I think, well, in general, man, like, congratulations. You know, from me, you get like, you get a star on your forehead. Everything, happy face on your homework, everything, you know, like this has been really good. I can hear the progress completely. And a couple of things is like, I mean, especially on the mix, you know, the synths to me, I think they're almost fine. You know, you're getting a really good mix level and like everybody's saying, the clarity is great because the construction is really clean. You're just getting the sound that is like coming and then the other one that is going back. And there is like very good fluidity on that. So I really like that. There could be contrast in some areas to like have maybe some tonality on some place that like just like builds up with like some chords or some progression that's eventually just goes into into this twisted kind of swampy vibe. And talking about swampy, the kick and bass are swampy, yeah, like they are very swampy in terms of like it's not bad, but it could be better, yeah. Like the bass line, for example, it has this, and I was pointing it out on the spectrum analyzer. You can see it right here. Around 4 kilohertz, you have the top of the kick. Like you would have your kick here, then goes down and then goes up here again, up to 4 kilohertz, and then kind of dies, yeah. And the bass was kind of the same. You'll have like the 2 or 3 main harmonics, which is okay. Then it kind of goes down, which kind of removes most of the body of the bass and most of the tonality, so you'll end up with like a really low end, and then it kind of goes up here again in 4K. So I would try to make the bass a little bit flatter from the first harmonics, like so you don't dip so much this area. And also the kick should have like the tip of like the actual tap of the kick should be around 1 kilohertz, not 4 kilohertz. 4 kilohertz is a bit more where the snare should be hitting your percussions, and if you have the kick so much on the 4K, then it will kind of take space from those percussions that need that space, you know. So in order to have a little bit more balanced mix and less swampy feeling, if that's what you want, obviously, if you want the swamp, then for sure it's fine. But I would definitely just especially trim down that 4 kilohertz and try to find a better point of like push for the kick, you know. Apart from that, you know, percussions, yeah, you could build up a little bit more your rhythm section. You could add a couple more loops at some places to like build up the tension, and overall, also the like Calvin said, maybe you can compress the whole percussion group so it's a little bit more tight. And wait, I'm just getting this endless stream of messages. Oh my god. Okay. So that's it for me, really. Apart from that, you know, everything is just creative process, and however you want to lay out your track is totally fine for me. But yeah, that's really good for like really good progress. I applaud that. Oh wait, thanks a lot. Rewatch the stream. Oh, it's VB1. Okay, whoa. More gain. Yeah, I mean, just don't dip them so much. And if you're using something like Quadrafuzz or something like that, or Saturn or something to bring that level down, like just maybe saturate it more and bring it up so it's like not so punchy, but really it's like it's keeping the, because it's most of the body of the sound is from 200 hertz to like 1 kilohertz. Like you have to control it so it's not so like in your face and so nasal, but it's something that you need for the bass, especially, you know. It's one of those things that you know, you can't live with it. Sorry.
When he commented there saying VB, that's using the VB1 for the bass line. Is that what he's saying?
I guess so. Yeah, that's what I understood there. But maybe are you using
Because
VB1?
that's I remember. I didn't know if a VB1 was like still around, because when I was making tunes, sure, in like 2003, we were using the VB1. So I don't know if the guys are still using that, you know.
It's a good synth.
It did make sick bass line. So like I'm surprised that it's come back.
Oh
That's
man,
cool.
all the high tech people are using VB1. Everybody's using VB1. Like on the high tech, you don't make a bass without VB1. But actually, if you want
crazy, man, because that thing's so old. That's literally like 2000s, you know. It's mad. Sure.
But it's great. No, like if you want to like recreate some of that VB1 kind of goodness from, like, you know, because you could move the pick up and down and it would kind of fatten the transient, or like make a more rolling transient. So if you want to recreate that, you can do it with like a double envelope. So you will have your first filter envelope that is going like straight to 0, like just that's your main click, and then you can make another envelope a little, like maybe 10 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds, a little bit delayed, like, so it's kind of, the attack is a little bit tilted, and that's going to make that like a double kind of attack, and that makes like a really chunky bass. It doesn't work all the time, but it's nice. But yeah, let's go to the last track, because I almost have to go. There's been some technical issues in my house, like my electricity was failing yesterday. The water has been crazy. This initial high harmonics may be a result of the high pass filter too high. Yes, that's a very good observation. It could be that it's too steep on the filter, and what I usually use like 12 dB slope, or 18 dB slope, like generally 24 is going to chop more, and it depends how tight you want your bass. I usually like that my bass and my kick kind of roll off nicely up until like 10k or sometimes 15k, but they are going to be rolling off instead of like boosting until 4k and then down. So yeah, just try. I mean, it's all trial and error, and it's all about like finding your own sound, no? So yeah, really good, man. Eat my fractals. Woo! Yeah, man. So that's a good name. Who's that? Who's it? My fractals. Come on. Okay, so we're gonna go for a Macaulay track, Collective Knowledge. He's one of the newest, if not the newest, signings from our label 01, and we are very happy to have him in there, and he's going to blast some killer music very, very soon. So yeah, let's just listen to this track and blast.
Bring it on.
Were you smoking this? Come on now. You can't. You did good here. You did good. Getting high and playing video games is the best. I swear to fucking God. Mom and Dad are gonna be mad. Hey, were you smoking this? You were basically inhaling brake fluid. Yeah.
Cool, and we're back. So, yalla. What do you think, man? Bring it on.
Sure, man. Very cool. Very cool. Definitely 0-1 style. But very cool. I like the direction, and like you said, the track's not finished. The second break there, or the second part. But yeah, man, very cool sounds. Everything stands out. Everything has its place. Doesn't seem like he's bunched things or things oversaturate things. Storyline's really cool, funky, groovy, driving. It's got a bit of each element in it, which is yeah, like I say, definitely the 0-1 vibe. Got a bit of everything, which is cool. That kick and bass is fat. Percussion stands out solid. You get maybe a little more groove in his percussion. I think to get more of the riding elements, like really like the galloping style of percussion, something that's really driving that groove. But yeah, man, overall, I think the track is, it's getting there. It's very, very cool, very fat. It's like super crisp, like clean, very clean track for sure.
Yeah, no, totally. I like the construction. Obviously, it's not finished, so I won't go too deep into the construction. What I would say is like your kick drum kind of stands out, and dynamically, it's kind of too loud. So I would maybe turn it down 1 dB, and also. What I noticed is like the kick, especially on the high frequencies, like say like 2 to 5 kilohertz or something like that, that's standing out more than the bass. Yeah, like you have quite a discrepancy. The bass starts rolling off before, and the kick's still kind of loud there. So I would either dip down the kick on that range, which I think it would be the appropriate thing to do. Maybe push a little bit the higher frequencies of the bass, so it's not rolling off quite so fast, and because it has somewhat of the same problem that Gar has, not quite as severe, but it does have that. And apart from that, I think the track's really good. Some of the sounds, again, they're a bit dry. You guys just remember, yeah, if even if you think that it doesn't need reverb, usually it does, yeah. And the thing is, like, people understand reverb and apply reverb in a very, very weird way, yeah. Like, and I've learned that from using this convolution reverb. Is like, when you are inside a room, the reverb is all around you. You know, like it depends on how much damping the reverb is going to go or not go. You know, like it's going to be like a big or a smaller reverb, or like I would say more mix into the reverb. You know, like, but what I would say is, like, you want the reverb not to be noticeable, but you want it there. You know, like, you want the reverb there. It's not like you want 10% of reverb and it's going to be a room behind you. No, you want the reverb that works with the sound, and because it works, you want it loud. You know, you don't want to hear the reverb, but you want the reverb. So this is why I'm trying to like push this like free reverb for you guys. So like, try to use that and see how it goes. It has a ton of rooms. It's free. I don't work for Melda, so this is definitely not a promotion. It's just like, I really, really like the way that it sounds and the way that it just builds my workflow really nicely, because I don't really need to think about reverbs. You know, it's just rooms. It's not like, oh, I want my reverb to be like this. No, it's like, well, there is a room. Oh, that reverb is nice. Okay, next. Oh, that reverb is even better. Let's try them both. Oh, maybe this. That's it. You know, like, that's what I do with reverbs now. And man, sometimes, you know, I don't know how you do the reverbs. I usually do them by send. And like that, my send effect, sometimes it's up to 0. You know, like, it's like full send to the reverb, and the reverb is just blasting. And instead of like I used to do, and what most people do, is reverbs 10%, you know, like minus 30 dBs. It's like, wow, like you can't even hear it. It's like, oh, but it's there, you know, you solo it and it's like, the room is back there. But it's really not working with the sound, because if not, you would have it louder. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind when you're applying reverb, because it's a very, very important thing in the music. It's like that because, you know, sometimes you have a very dry sound and you push it too much because you want it more in the mix, but that's going to be fixed with the appropriate reverb, because like you can have it further back, but you put the reverb and it just really expands it in the mix, you know. So yeah, just try that. And yeah, I think your percussions could be a little bit louder also, but that goes in hand with compression and group compression in the percussions, and how you're managing your transients in your percussion. So you want the transients to be popping. You don't want the summing of the percussions to be staying there so long. You want the transient to be like pa, pa, pa. And then the rest, when they are summing, because you have some percussions that are on top of each other, and it's like well, they are summing and making a louder sound than sometimes the transients. So you want the transient to be more up there, and that way you will have like that like they will cut through the mix, rather than when you're playing, it's like, oh, I need to boost my percussions here, but the mixer doesn't really boost the right frequencies. Maybe it sounds too fucking harsh. Well, it's because it sounds harsh, and you need to compress it and boost the transients, and then it's not gonna sound so harsh. Okay, and yeah, I mean that's gonna do it for today for me, because it's I have to go. But anything else you want to add, man?
No, man. I just saw a comment from Gala saying, "Is his sound synoptic sound?"
Yes.
And just so he understands, like with synoptics, like we're not like a specific sound, you know. Like we work within a little bit of a wider spectrum, but like with our compilations, like for instance, my compilations, I go from 145 to 160 in my compilations, because I tell a journey story. It's not like one sound, whole compilation, boom, you know, like my Rations compilation that comes out, to the label birthday one every year, and we put on like we release a guy from Denmark, Chinguagua, and his stuff is like super foresty, to Priest, which is like full on nights kind of vibe, full on nights, like a mixture of vibes. So we like to release a spectrum, especially in the compilations. It's like a storytelling vibe. I don't want to just put one sound out. Yeah. So like I would love him to drop me a message, Facebook or on the Synoptics page, whatever. Get in contact with me, and I'd love to hear more tunes, or he finishes that tune or works on it. And for me, it's just always good to be in contact with producers that are making interesting music. For me, I'm trying to find interesting music.
Yes.
Not the same shit that everyone else is copy pasting. So that was an interesting track. It caught my ear. So, and he's asking a question where to send a demo. You can email me at info@synoptics.com or go to the Synoptics. Synoptics with a Z there. Synoptics with a Z at the end.com. And you can email me there, or can drop the Facebook page a message, or the Instagram Synoptics Records a message. I'm everywhere. So yeah.
Killer, man. No, really
Cool.
good, man. And I really appreciate you taking the time for being here with us. Like, it's really, I know your schedule is tight, so really thanks a lot for that. It's been really good.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, dude. It's really great. It's actually been really cool doing the show. It's nice to listen to music and talk about it, and yeah, it's really great. I enjoy it. Thanks so much for having me, bro.
No, for sure. And definitely talk to your artists if you have anyone that wants to show up and just give us some advice. I'd be more than welcome to welcome them here, and they'd be more than welcome.
Priest already said to me, our Cape Town artist, he wants to do a show with you, man. So I'll put him in contact with you, bro. He's a stunning producer, bro. Like, it's a super critical ear, So
Yeah.
I think he'd be probably a good person to have on the show for sure, man.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, well, we'll have to cut
Awesome.
this short for like 5 minutes. I'm sorry, guys, that I didn't have more time, but I think we went through all the tracks. And next time, I'll try and play something from my new album that is coming out in September. Well, it's planned for September, but shit happens. But I think it's going to come out in September, I hope. And yeah, guys, thanks for showing up. Thanks for always support. Yalla!
Nice one. Thanks,
one.
everyone. Thanks for joining it.
Yalla! See you guys.